Oh, well, here we are, the Ascending Man channel podcast with Ascending Tech. This is the show where we're going to talk about projects, tokens, things like that, right? Just stuff that's really interesting, good tech, right? Diving into it, kind of just digging out what is this thing. And you know what? And here to explain what the Genius AI protocol is would be Robert. So, Robert, how are you doing today, man?
Great. Thanks for having me to talk here, and thanks for having all of us. I'm surrounded by probably some of the smartest people right now, and I'm excited.
Excellent, excellent. Alrighty, well, how about this? Let's not play around. Let's go ahead and just jump into it, right? So, let's start with the basics, right? So, number one, what is Genius AI?
I'll take that. Genius AI is, it's a lot of things. For example, when Bitcoin first came out, we saw it as a way to change money, but it did a lot of innovation to do that. And Genius AI is a way to forcibly change economies and how people know economy. So Genius is a artificial intelligence that regulates its own economy, knows that people are using an economy because they want to be more efficient and they want to profit. And this is a protocol and a system that has been around. It was launched almost 2 years ago. And from all the data and such we've seen, there's been proof that this AI is managing its economy into a direction where it becomes better. That's what Genius is. That's what Genius
So,
token is. And yeah.
so basically, it's an AI that uses kind of like an algorithm to just sort of fix the supply and demand.
I'd say it's an algorithm that it's many algorithms that understand the problems that the economy has, and its algorithm and its AI enforces new solutions so that people don't run into the same problem. That's how
Gotcha.
I would describe it. However, like Mitch, Shades, and a lot of other people in the industry, or the blockchain industry, or even the community, they found other ways to describe it.
Hmm. Yes, I want to hear it actually. Mitch, Shades, any one of you guys, you want to go ahead and get off mute here, and let's talk about that, because I would love to hear some just different methods about how this whole thing works, because you said there's many different algorithms that are used. So yeah, I'm very curious about this.
I'll jump in first because I'm unmuted before you, Shades. So tough luck there, buddy. So essentially, I'm a Genius community member first and foremost. Ultimately, I came to Genius post the first initial sacrifice and post the initial Collateral Vault launch, which I'm sure we'll go onto it's now called the AI wallet. We'll go onto that more later on in the chat, I'm sure. But ultimately, what first drew me in, first and foremost, was was solving that initial sort of zero sum game of crypto, where initially someone will buy up the supply, first guy to sell wins, price chart goes down, right? How do we improve on that? And Genius token is the first thing I've seen in crypto, and I do believe that Genius has a potential to be the fourth pillar of crypto. So I've had Bitcoin, Ethereum, Uniswap, and I think Genius token, with its unique, again, we'll go into its how its liquidity works later on. But I do believe that Genius could be the fourth pillar of crypto, in the way that ultimately the guy that sells first gets the worst deal, and the collateralization of all of the tokens in supply, so that when actually a large player exits the system or capitalizes on their gains of their tokens, it'll be celebrated rather than oh damn, we need to all exit now, we're in a downtrend.
Very cool, Mitch. I'm gonna jump in and basically make three bold statements about Genius economics. Those statements will be contrarian to what is mostly believed in economy and in crypto, actually, right? And we can build off of those probably going forward, whichever direction you want to take. First, open market price is optional for price, right? As strange as it sounds, open market is just a secondary mechanism for price discovery in Genius. Number two, when you sell a token or an asset, price adjusts, but in Genius, price goes up. That statement needs to be probably dived into to discover a little bit more of economics of Genius. But when you sell, price goes up. And number three, I'm going to take a stab at decentralized exchange and how people in crypto make yield or rewards on their collateral, their inactive collateral. And I'm going to say that a collateral in the form of stable coins or even BTC can earn native BTC and collateral yield without DEX or any third party, all on chain due to Genius AI. So three statements. Open market is optional for price. When you sell, price goes up. Those are three economic statements. And the third one is collateral can earn native collateral yield without resulting to a third party reward system. So based on that, I think Genius is very interesting because it sort of uproots the fundamental economic principles used in TradFi as much as actually used in the rest of the crypto.
Wow.
If I may add to that.
Yeah, please do. That's a
Actually,
lot, guys, by the way.
It's a lot, and thank you guys for sharing that. Let me attempt to summarize it. So what is Genius AI? Well, it's the next launch of Genius. So Genius already exists, and Genius AI, it's a stabilize and rise token. So similar to like a stable token like DAI USDC, it pegs its value to, $1, right? Genius will peg its value to multiple collaterals, and it won't peg to a dollar amount, it'll peg to a collateral amount. So this is a token where it incentivizes the crowd to back its value. And from what we've seen in the past, the crowd's very happy to do that. The incentives are intelligent and they work. Genius AI does this to stabilize the value and to rise the value. So the next one is coming soon, within 3 months. Maybe less, I really don't know, but it will be backed by Bitcoin, by like the actual decentralized Bitcoin self-custodial that everybody loves. It has a stable peg to a Bitcoin amount, and that peg will rise. And this is proven by a case study. And we can give a link to that case study as well, geni.to/case study. But it answers the question of like, what is better than Bitcoin? It's more Bitcoin is the answer. And that's what Genius AI does, provably does. And yeah, I'd like to summarize it that way.
That's pretty big. All right, well, let's slow down a little bit. Let's go ahead and get in some questions because you guys dropped a lot of stuff there, right? All right, so first one I want to go into here is, well, actually, let's go ahead and do some chat shout outs because you know what? We got people live. They're watching right now. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that they're here, spending their time with us, which I appreciate very much. So yeah, let's go ahead and do the chat shout outs. So first up is going to be Radical Retro with the flowers. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then also Centurion, what is up? 54 cent. What up? What up? And then also we got a Hexy Knitter. Glad that I was told to join. Well, I'm glad that you're here. Then we got Degen Hexican. Yo. I love the pupper, by the way. That's fantastic. So alrighty. But yeah. So yeah, one of the things that I really when you're explaining how it's backed by the US dollar, right? What exactly do you mean by that? Like how is it fully backed, by the dollar? And then you also said that it's also backed by, or it's going to be backed by Bitcoin as well. Can you explain that?
If I start with like kind of the high level overview, and Mitch and Shades are incredible with the details. Thanks, guys. The AI incentivizes people to do this, and that incentive comes in the form of yield. It comes in the form of getting a piece of the economy's revenue. So it incentivizes people by offering them passive yield, decentralized passive yield. And there's an event going on right now called the Genius Airdrop. And what this is doing is people, I mean, it's like what, like over $320,000 have been registered for this, for the Genius Airdrop. And that's a lot in a short amount of time. So this collateral is being pulled by the Genius AI smart contracts once they're launched, and it's going to be used to back the entire supply. So the supply of Genius that we have today, that gets, I guess you could say, that works with the new launch, gets upgraded with the new launch. Everybody who has Genius miners, it's all in this Genius AI ecosystem and backed by all of this collateral.
Yeah, go ahead, Mitch.
So there's the Genius Airdrop, that the event where people can get in on those incentives early. And then once Genius AI is launched, it is always incentivizing people to back the value of the Genius token.
So I'd like to jump in here. I think I've noticed a couple of the viewers right now have Hex in the name. And I've got a really simple analogy that really cut through to me initially. And that is, we've all seen what's happened with Hex, the supply and demand. Ultimately, the guys that sold earliest or emergency end state did very well. They won. Caused the price to go down a lot, right? If you imagine being able to go to the Hex front end and the price on the DEX, let's say it was at the time, I don't know, let's pick an arbitrary figure of 10 cents. At the time, you could imagine you could go to the front end and it was offering, it needed collateral to pay out the holders, the bigger guys, the sharks, the dolphins, whatever sea creature you want to pick out. It needed collateral to pay them. So rather than it being 10 cents on the DEX, it might be 9 cents on the front end, or on the we have Geni.app, which is where the AI wallet will eventually or ultimately be. At some point, somebody's going to take that deal. Somebody's going to deposit collateral, whether it be Ethereum, US dollar, wrap Bitcoin, whatever it might be, and take that arbitrage opportunity to get more for their money that's being offered on the DEX right now. You can take maybe a 10%, 15% off straight from the smart contract, or we call it the AI wallet. And if nobody takes that deal, over time, it then decreases maybe 8 cents, 8.2, 8, 7.9, 7 point, until ultimately somebody takes that deal and deposits collateral, and they are arbitraging that opportunity for a lower price to ultimately redeem it for a higher price in the future. Once that collateral is being deposited into the vault, as the Genius AI becomes more hungry for collateral, the discounts are available to the open market, or to the participants of the ecosystem.
So when you're saying collateral, are you talking about kind of like how an LP pool, you got two sides, and one side would be like the Geni token, the other side would be whatever it is, right?
Yes. However, we have locked in a smart contract, a sort of centralized liquidity, whereas you exchange your accepted collateral, like say if it's on Ethereum, for example, it'd be ETH and the stable coins. If it's on name your chain, wrap Bitcoin, there's a list of accepted collateral. I'm not exactly sure what all of them are, but ultimately the AI is looking to absorb enough collateral to then back the total value of all of the Genius tokens in existence. At that point, we're in what we call phase 3. So essentially, the price cannot go down. There's enough collateral in the smart contract to back any sells from existing holders. So when they sell, ultimately they're going to the smart contract, to the front end, to Geni.app, and they're exchanging their Genius tokens for that collateral. At that point, the AI wallet becomes again hungry for collateral and starts again offering these discounts for deposits. So people
Okay.
have
So-
been proved. It's
Oh,
been proven
looks
on
like we
chain that
lost
people
Mitch
will
there
take
for a
this
sec.
arbitrage. It's geni.to/vault study. This has been proven on chain that people will take this arbitrage opportunity and deposit collateral. When a seller or an existing Genius holder maybe ends a miner or sees the price that target reach that they want, when they sell, again, let's go back to this hex analogy. When a hex dolphin sells, what do we see on the price chart? Fat red candle down. And that supply is just sat in a liquidity pool. In Genius, they're taking the collateral out that other users or participants have deposited to take this ARB opportunity. They're taking this collateral out, and in order to get that collateral out, they have to put their Geni in. And what happens to their Geni? It's burnt. It's gone. So it will be celebrated when, a top 20, 30, 40, 50 holder is exiting, because they'll be taking the Ethereum or the USDC out, and they'll be burning their supply. They're gone. They're out. And at that point, the collateral vault or the AI wallet becomes collateral hungry again and starts offering these arbitrage discounts over time. Again, decreasing the asks. The ask side, until somebody again starts depositing collateral. So it's forever eating away these top guys, and I suppose for me, it's the most not interesting thing I've seen in crypto. Sorry, guys, I've taken it there.
Don't worry about it. So let me kind of repeat back what it is that I heard. So basically what's going on then is you've got almost like an exchange of some kind where if somebody walks up with you and they got a handful of ETH, right? They're like, hey, I would like some Geni, right? They're like, okay, cool. The ETH goes in, you get the Geni, but enable for them. So when that happens, though, that exchange, that sort of almost third person, is an AI, right? And
it's actually so you're actually interfacing with the AI wallet at that point. So you are going to, when you say an exchange, it's a front end, Geni.app. That front end will be offering a buy price, and if nobody takes it over time, the price keeps going lower until somebody takes it, and they will take it, and they will always take it. And the case study shows they take it. Okay. So ultimately, the collateral vault will always have collateral coming into it, because at some point somebody might take 30%, 40% of it. At some point, somebody's going to take the deal. Collateral comes in, which backs the value of the Genius token, which again allows a top guy to exit. So it's forever looping.
Okay, so
collateral in.
Yeah, the algorithm basically it looks at what specifically people like want to buy at, what price they want to buy at, and it tries to make it as expensive as possible, but also not so inexpensive it's just kind of controlling the price at that point, sort of the ask side of things, correct?
It's purely a mechanic. So when we say AI, it's purely a mechanic of what people are doing with the smart contract. So ultimately, if somebody ends a miner and sells, they're having X amount of penalty. it assumes they're making X amount of profit, therefore it will adjust. It's unaware of the DEX price. So the price on the DEX is absolutely irrelevant to Genius, which is totally new. Shades mentioned this earlier on. This is kind of reiterating I think the first point that Shades made in terms of it doesn't care what its open market price is. What matters is what you can buy it for and redeem it for in its via the AI wallet, right?
So it's kind of its own, because what I'm hearing there is that it's almost like its own DEX at that point.
It's solving a problem that crypto has that people don't realize is a problem in crypto. For example, in the crypto world we know today, in the decentralized crypto world that we know today, a whale comes in, buys a substantial amount of a token, and the price shoots up and everybody's happy. But most whales don't want to do that. They see themselves just laying out and people are eating their whale blubber. But so it's a little bit of a problem where whales will be shy to tip their toes in first because they're not interested in buying $100 at a time. And a lot of whales are not interested in buying $1,000 at a time or 10,000 at a time. So that's a big problem with crypto that people don't realize. Genius AI and the designers behind it opened my eyes when I was talking with them and such, and they're like, "That's a huge problem." I'm like, "Huh? That's a good problem. The price goes up, right?" So with Genius and how this vault mechanics work, a whale can put in $1 million, and they get no slippage by backing the value with the token. But how does the price rise? Well, the action of people burning their Genius to get that collateral from the whale, that is what rises the value. So it solves this problem where whales are shy.
So whenever, and that's the cool thing that I'm looking at is, so whenever you're selling Genius, right, usually the issue is that it goes back onto the market, smacks the price down, obviously. And so what's going to end up happening instead is this then burns the Genius away, right? Which then makes Genius itself more rare, which then ups the price, aka
and attracts more collateral.
Yep.
So I shared like a really high level overview of all the moving parts, so we can actually refer to that as we talk through it. I think the key here is influence and demand. So we know about buy and burn, right? That's a supply thing, decreasing the supply. But how do you issue a demand call? How do you make people actually participate in that, right? You have to have strong incentives to do that. And so AI Wallet is just that. It's a split personality kind of aggregator / traffic cop that allows you to present two worldviews to the buyer.
Hey, Shade, real quick. Did you have something you wanted to share on screen?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let's get that up then.
Yeah, I want to see that.
There we go.
Whoa.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's really just high level overview of moving parts, so we can, because I know we can. Genius is beautifully elaborate in what it does, but I think it's helpful to see all the players when we talk through that, right? So just really briefly, to the side, to the left, and to the right, you have two types of market players. To the right, you get market agents that come in and just create the regular miners. Here's your token, here's your Geni token, come in, create a miner, earn yield. Very simple, unless we're going down into details, different policies. It's what makes it yield very straightforward, not simple, but more of a straightforward, right? You have Geni, you come in, you lock the miner, you earn yield.
I'm the guy on the right, by the way.
Yeah, we all are. We love our IQ shares. To the left, you've got two or more types of market participants. You've got arbitrage with open market. You've got bots that sort of arbitrage that price out. You've got LPs, and you've got regular users who hold Geni but want to get collateral out as opposed to holding Geni itself. And so closer to the, towards the center, you've got the blue side where it says incentive layer. That incentive layer is different towards different market participants. To a regular guy, the incentive layer is straightforward: Genius token in, time spent, Genius token out. But to the right, I mean, to the left is what Robert and Mitch were discussing, is the fact that you can actually interact with Genius AI depicted in green. Part of it is the Collateral Vault, or Genius, or also known as Stability Pool. It's really the Genius AI wallet that manages, kind of helps manifest the AI in the form of interaction with the outside parties. And so that's where the incentives change a little bit. That's where demand and supply is being managed in two fronts. If you come in to earn some yield on your miner, you deposit collateral as opposed to depositing Genius token. This is the green arrow in, right? You serve the time by the miner. You do your thing. By the way, miner is an action block, if you will, right, of attention and intention in Genius. Once that miner is served, depending on the rules, collateralization ratios and whatnot, you get rewards back, but you get them either in collateral or in Genius, right? Depends on how well the collateral performs in that the ratio in the AI wallet. That's the straightforward kind of use case for people who want to come in and also do the mining, through Genius AI, but on the collateral as opposed to Genius token. And then up top, where you have another yellow circle a little bit here, or square, you have rewards in the form of Genius coming back in to the Genius AI through the wallet. And then you get the collateral. This is what we call settlement of collateral, where you have a bunch of Geni and you want to get more Bitcoin. You've got a bunch of Geni, you want to get more native tokens. You have a bunch of Geni, you want to get stable coins out, right? So this is this sort of the split personality on various ways Genius AI can influence demand, not only the supply. So anything that is ingenious rewards coming into the AI wallet gets burned. That's the supply side. Okay. But the demand side is why the market agents would actually want to go and settle Geni for collateral, is because the AI wallet is pricing a collateral higher than the open market does in Genius terms, right? And so this is, I hate this term flywheel, but it's really essentially what it is. It's a flywheel that is weighted on miners and weighted on ratios and weighted on interest and incentives that go back and forth between opening incentives for miners that are coming in, and opening and offering incentives for the sellers that can settle Genius back for collateral to take out. Does that sort of make
Chase,
sense? The big picture?
I feel like you would have the best YouTube channel that would go into deep dives, because Shades really understands the mechanics of like every area in this, and it's taken me like 2 years to like actually understand the AI. And all I
Actually,
gotta say is, yeah,
so
it
I've
takes a
got I
lot of
got a
time
good
to
idea here.
do it.
So what we're looking at here is a diagram of basically how the AI works, or it's how the protocol works in general. Shades.
AI and Genius protocol are one, in that. So you have to remember that when we talk about AI, when we bring AI into the picture, it's no longer just the blockchain. It's no longer just crypto, right? It's the rules and regulations and policies of AI on chain, 100% on chain without third party nodes. And because of that,
AI up here, right? And he's just kind of like, hey, I'm here now. I'm doing things.
pretty much, right. And so this is why it's necessarily more elaborate than just basically saying, okay, here's the miner, make a yield, right? You have to affect the demand on it. And so what we're looking for is basically, it's a distributed attention state network of miners of value that is being managed by AI wallet. And miners in this case, they are the holders, or like Robert said recently, they're witnesses of the intention people have to generate yield, how to generate yield, what to play, what to return back. And play out all their economic strategies vis-a-vis earning yield on blockchain, directly on the blockchain. Again, there's no third-party node that goes out and grabs the price. There's no third-party node that goes out and says, yes, press a button. I want to allow a certain economic activity to take place. AI is basically managing the incentives for both sides of the story, right? That's the high level overview of what's going on here. And then we can go into the myriad of incentives why you would want to do this, how the stair-stepping motion happens on offering the price up or offering the price down, why it's created the way it's created, why the why the open market is secondary to the price, and how it all ties together. But this is the high level overview of what AI and crypto mesh together working.
Yes, exactly.
This is what it
So
looks like.
this is the this is the this is the overview
open
look,
it.
right? And so here's what I want to do now. All right, Shades. I want you to kind of take me through as a normal person getting into Geni, right? On this chart here, right? Where is it that we start? Like where are we going to start here? Like, if this was like a map, right, to say a mall or something, where's the front door?
No, perfect question. I wish I had a whiteboard here. I don't know if my mouse can actually.
I can see your mouse actually.
You can. Oh, nice. Okay. All right. I should do a better job of color coding this. I wasn't expecting this sort of discussion into it. This is sort of a work in progress, and there are a couple of incorrect things here. But hear me out here. All right. So let's start from the easiest case. It's
Does the yellow mean that's the door?
Yeah, that's the outside door, right? That's the,
I love it.
The agent that is outside. Think of Matrix, right? The agent's outside. Anyway, so it's me right here standing in front of Geni.app and basically saying, hello, I bought some Genius on the market. I would like to make yield on it. I am going to come in and I'm going to say, I have maybe 100,000 Genius and I want to mine it for 180 days. That's my strategy. I don't need the money for the next half a year. I'm going to come in and Mitch mentioned Hex. The good part of it, or the working part of it, is the strategy of using some form of collateral. I'm sorry, not collateral, the principal, to come in and do the yield. This is very similar to that strategy. It's not similar in implementation. It doesn't serve a very similar goal, but the mechanism of coming in and creating a miner based on your principal, longevity, and the type of share allocation is similar in this respect. Okay, so you are, or me in this case, I'm coming in, I want to create a miner, I'm going to lock it for 180 days. Because I have 100,000 Genius, maybe I get 10,000 shares, or IQ shares, how we call it in Genius AI. And that's my miner, right? I wash my hands, I go away on a vacation, come back in 180 days, get paid in Genius plus principal. Okay, very easy. Now the game becomes much more involved if I am actually solving.
Well, let's slow down here a little bit. So,
Yeah.
okay, we started here at the market agents, LPs, are bots, right? And that was basically, that's the front face, kind of like what I said here, where Geni.app, that's the door, right? And that's where we're starting, okay? And so from there, you put your money in, and then you buy Geni, or sorry, you've bought Geni and you put the Geni in, and then from there, that's where.
And this is where the miner is created, and it enters that mix. If I was to zoom into it, this is the AI engine that basically calculates every single miner as the miner comes in, gets created, and assigns a weight to it, or a vote, right? Think of it as a vote on the system, much like you have like a marketplace where you come in and say, hey, I'd like to participate. I'm going to wave my red flag right here. Here are my parameters that I'm going to play with. I've got X number of principal. I've got shares. I'd like to play. This is the polymarket betting game. Okay, I'm coming in. Give me the vote. Give me the assigned weight. And so the market agent at that point, when miners created, based on Genius token is done from what the person, like the interaction with
So
blockchain.
what's the voting for
And
then?
the voting is for AI to basically, remember we talked about how AI manages the state of this kind of voting.
You know,
And
can I mention that with the voting?
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Because it's a good question. And you see, there's actually a big problem with like AI and a lot of things. And really, it's a problem that Bitcoin solved. Bitcoin needs to solve who's being honest here, because many nodes can be dishonest. And Genius's artificial intelligence, if it didn't have a way to protect its AI, people could just screw with it all day long. Like, oh yeah, here's a minor commitment, or here's whatever. The mechanics that a Genius uses would be very vulnerable. So Genius came up with a staking way, a proof of stake way that, from what I've seen, is extremely powerful and effective to fight voting fraud. You see, every transaction that happens on Genius's smart contracts, every transaction that happens, the AI is constantly learning, that was valuable for you to do. You paid gas to do that. Huh. Why was it valuable? Good reasons, bad reasons. So Genius, with every transaction that comes in, it learns from it and it weighs the transaction. It weighs how important it is. And this weight is a vote. This weight is a vote of like saying, hey, this is a dust vote. This dust doesn't really matter, or this is a big, like, important one. Like with spam protection for the Bitcoin network, at one point the Bitcoin developers were like, let's consider any fee or any amount of Bitcoin or whatever, and I'm going to make up a number, by the way, anything under 1,000 sats, that'll be considered dust. It'll be, the network shouldn't discover that. And then later in the future, it was like, ugh, that number is too high. How about 540 units? How about that's dust? Well, Genius, all of this voting that happens, it is dynamically learning how much dust is. So if you create a miner that is for like a penny, Genius knows it's dust. It knows that nobody cares about that amount. And it learns that from all these transactions that happen. And it learns that from its mechanics.
So ultimately what we're voting on then, or not us, but I should say the AI is voting on what price?
No,
put
we
the
are all
miner to?
voting.
So
We are voting with our transactions, and the AI learns how valuable those votes are and what it means for changing its economy.
Gotcha. And so like when I go and I put in my Genius tokens, how much I'm putting in is basically the vote. It's going to, and that vote right there is what's going to teach the AI what direction, to take the economy, basically.
Correct. Many people don't realize this, but Genius is very aware of how much gas you're paying to do things as well. Genius is insanely aware. For example, in Hex world, right? Well, in Genius world, I'll use a Hex analogy just because it was brought up earlier from Mitch, and it's a good analogy because a lot of people have spent time understanding something very simple like Hex. I mean, it's complex at first, you got to learn. But Genius's equivalent of a Hex stake is a Genius miner. Really, a miner is a commitment, but let's just call it a miner. And all of the miners that people create in Genius, they are a neural network that memorize the economy of Genius the moment they were created. So when you create a
It's like a
miner,
marketing
you do
team
it because
almost. Because when people buy things, it's like a marketing team analyzes it, right? And they're like, okay, this worked, this didn't. And then they start changing strategies based
you
on
can
that.
say,
Great analogy.
yeah,
Great analogy.
I think that's a great analogy.
Okay,
So
perfect.
there's all these miners, and as people interact with them, that memory is triggered. Sort of like if we were to trigger a memory in somebody else, and they're like, ah! so it triggers and it changes the parameters. For example, because a lot of people got burned in Hex with this, and I'm not here to poo-poo Hex. I'm just saying something that we all experienced. Is the higher the price of Hex went up, that made it very worth it for the single person to early end their stake. But for your person who didn't believe they could early end it because they thought they would lose everything, they kind of got the shaft. But in the Hex world, when somebody early ends stakes, really it's bad for everyone in a way. But it's good for the player. It's good for the person who does it. And the person who early ends their stake, they then dump on the market. It's great for that player, but maybe not so great for everybody else.
So
And
I got
people
one
hate it.
more.
Player loves it.
Okay,
But
so I got one
Genius.
more question.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I
Well,
interrupt you, Robert?
yeah. But
My bad.
Genius in that way, when somebody early ends, remember I'm using a metaphor here. When somebody early ends, Genius learns that, it was worth it for them to do that. You see, Genius in the Hex world, people might not want you to end your Hex stakes early because they're like, oh no, dude, get all those rewards and stuff. But in Genius, the AI wants you to break your commitment. It wants to know, what does it take for you to break your commitment? And the AI learns that, and it updates its market value. It updates its a premium penalty structure, right? It updates it. So it's good for everyone. And when they take liquidity, right, in the Hex world and the whole DeFi world, people are like, oh no, the price went down. Well, with Genius AI, when you take liquidity from it, you've burned your tokens, they're out of the economy, and Genius AI ratios its value so the price rises. So actually everybody loves it. So it's good for the player, but it's also good for everyone else. It had to change the economy rules to do that, and it needed a neural network and memory, a dynamic memory of the whole economy to do this. And that's what's really innovative and amazing about it.
I would also sort of keep it in perspective, not as a main talking point for tokenomics, but as a vector that always has to be on the designer's mind is defensibility, right? Can you so tapping into that vote thing, can you coerce an AI to provide wrong information, right? What do? Do you create smaller miners like by thousands? Can you influence AI that way? And this is where Robert referenced Dust, right? Like you best know exactly what you're doing to influence Genius AI, because it has learned that none of your examples of trying to create smaller miners and trying to get a collective vote for your miner that way, like for example a whale creates 2,000 miners of 3 pennies each, right, and then gets a quorum, if you will, on the vote, right? Like it's not by size, but maybe by the number of miners, right? So defensibility is always important as well in protocols that run for very, very long time. And Genius does run for very, very long time because the largest stake or largest miner is about 12 years. So you have to be defensible across that timeline of people locking in their capital and still make good on them, right? Like when you're coming out on at the end of the stake or at the end of the miner. So as we're talking through this, we have to be thinking of AI to be not only providing tokenomic incentives, but also being able to be self-defensible, and hence learning about the intent of other players in the ecosystem to not treat them as kind of like NPCs, treat them as valuable contributors that can be malicious as well.
Okay. All right. So I've got a question then. What is more important to sort of play the system? Okay. Would it be, as a really big player, would it be dumping it all in at one time, or creating as many miners as you can at like maybe $10 each, which is what you're talking about, like say with Dust. But what if the normal person is probably going to put in like maybe $100 worth, right? That's going to be kind of like the more normal person thing. So if you have like $10 million and you split that all up, and just imagine, right? But split that all up into $100 or $1,000 miners, right? Because you wanted to specifically, as you say, influence the AI in a certain way. What would technically be better to influence the AI? Just a big, large $1 million, or just split them all up into $1,000 ones?
Uh, I spent a lot of time looking at this. Um, I haven't found a way to falsely influence the AI. And what I mean by falsely influence is, and this takes tremendous research, but what I haven't found is, I've found that the truth really sets you free, because ultimately, the more dishonest you are, the more Genius AI sees it as economically not important, and the more gas you spend. So yeah, and even in you see, Genius was launched on 4 networks, and then the blockchain, the Ethereum fork to Pulse Chain happened, and then Genius, like within like what 2 or 3 hours, reached parity price, which was incredible, right? But you know, I'm on a tangent. It was launched on multiple networks, so you could see how it reacted in low gas areas, high gas fees. So you can see how it reacted based on many other variables, and and what we all saw, and especially the designers saw, and myself, you know, having input on that, what we saw amazed us. And what we saw was, wow, they're all reacting the same way in completely different environments. And when the Pulse Chain fork happened, Genius AI learned really fast that its environment was very different. It didn't really know. It wasn't like, oh my God, something happened. It just rapidly changed its parameters. And next thing you know, even though you had like every other token, when Pulse Chain happened, every token was diluted 10,000x in some way. And then, you know, the ecosystem itself or the community, they had to do something about it if they were going to. Zen, for example, a lot of people heard about Zen. They relaunched on Pulse Chain. But Genius, within, I think, 2 or 3 hours, Genius had rapidly changed its parameters to where the Genius vault, where people were burning their Genius and receiving the same value that they would have received on Ethereum. And this amplified the price so much that the price on Pulse Chain was like more than 10x the price on Ethereum, with like within quite a short time. It was
You know
amazing.
what you could say is that Genius was the first copy to reach parity.
It was the first copy to reach parity without Richard Hart team having their privileged automatic market maker thing, you know, automatically buying liquidity for Hex and pumping it up.
Yeah.
Let me show you. I have another visual on it, and while I'm doing this, I also want to mention that. So Nate, you talked about how to influence AI. You can actually play by the rules that AI gives you and influence it pretty well. For example, you can say that if you create a miner of 162 million Genius, right, that gets you the largest percentage of increase in your shares, right? So you can create lots of those miners and actually you know make it easier for you to sell them later or auction them later, for example. Yet you will be able to maintain the maximum amount of shares you can get for the minimum amount of principal, right? You don't have to go to a billion of Genius to get the best deal. If you're a small guy and you can buy 162 million of Genius right now, this is the sort of the cutover point where you can still play in that game, because Genius does think about the little guy too, in how Genius does the gas cost optimization, and how it gives you a lot of ways to subdivide Genius and Genitos, for example, right? Like, it's very valuable and valid to create a sub Geni miner. The question is, why would you want to do it under current economic conditions? But you could when the price goes up, right? And so let me show you the example of the Collateral vault that may help here. Okay, so I'm sharing. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yep, just 1 second here. My producer needs to get it pulled up.
sorry. Yeah.
Well, I mean, by the way, you bring up a good point.
So what we're looking at is essentially, remember, now I have to bring you back to that other picture that we had before, the leftmost side, where people come in and do the settlement to the AI wallet and interacting with AI wallet, and how it actually tracks the market price. So what we're seeing here is how, so cyan is the cyan
By the
color.
way, if
Yeah.
I may say, the what was it, 4 or 5 months, the vault for the AI was open for like 4 to 5 months. What you see all the way on the right, the obviously downturn, is where the vault went offline. The vault was taken offline. So everything before this is what we're all like very excited about with Genius AI, because the vault won't go
Yes.
offline.
Yes, but also, Robert, as we can look at it, how the vault went down. It didn't just disappear. It actually shows you. You see that yellow stair stepping
Very
up
step
and
by
down.
step, very
It's,
much like steps.
it was trying to give you better deal. Nobody was taking the deal. Okay, and this is what happens when people don't take the deal, and AI reacting to it and says, "All right, do you want better price? Here you go. Here's a lower price for Genius. Do you want more? Do you want more?" And so it tried its hardest until the very last moment, like 2 months later, to resuscitate the patient, if you will, right? To give better price for somebody who can come in and actually do the miner on it. But the other two lines here, the cyan is the volume of settlement of collateral into the AI vault. So, for example, in the beginning, you see all these huge spikes is when people did not know how to operate the AI wallet, and they would come in and they would see the collateral and they would say, okay, well, nobody's taking this collateral, let me take it. And so you have like 100 million Geni, a billion Geni being settled into it, right? And then over time people learn that they can actually come in and do smaller settlement, and so this is where the market and the economy started working, and you have the density of people coming in and actually doing the settlement. That's in cyan. But the most curious part is on top, where you have the magenta versus the yellow. The magenta is the open market price for Genius versus AI wallet price for Genius. So AI wallet, being an on-chain AI, not knowing the open market price, triangulated and almost tracked one for one with the open market, just because it knew that if people would come in and actually interact with it, then the market says it's cheap. If they stop interacting with it, you get the action to the right, where it says, okay, nobody's coming in, I'm going to lower the price down. Unfortunately, at that time the collateral vault stopped as well, but then you see that deviation in almost like an exponentially better price being given to people to actually redo the entry. But before that, for 3/4 of the time, the price of the collateral vault or the AI wallet tracked the open market. This is how Genius is able to solve the issue of not having the oracle, not going out to the DEX, not pulling its own price known to the market, but triangulating the intent to come in and interact with it. Because people are economic actors, they will take better price. If they're not coming in, the price is not good, right?
Okay, so Shades, let's take a second here and let's try to make sure that we're all following along here. So when you showed us that entry point, right, on the graph in the last screen you had,
Yes, sir.
you showed us like the door, okay, and it's like that's where you put your Geni in, right? And then that's when basically you're causing the AI to vote at that point in time of if the prices are good or not, right? To raise or lower the prices. And so from there, then what we're seeing here is the open market, which is the purple, right? And then the yellow is what people putting Geni into the system, correct?
So I showed you one window to the right. We're talking here about the left side of the equation. Let me
Okay.
bring it up again
Okay.
so we know. Let me stop sharing. Let me bring it back up. I'll show you what I
While
mean
you
by
do that,
that.
Shades,
Yeah.
this shows the stabilized part of Genius AI. Genius
Yeah.
AI is all about stabilize and rise. The rise part comes in. Well, I mean, the rise happens, but the rise part is the only option when Genius AI finally collateralizes all of its tokens, and that's what the Genius airdrop is doing. So that this next launch, Genius begins at an over collateralized state and is constantly rising its value.
Yeah, I shared it out so we can take a look at it whenever. So it will
But
be
I
to the
think
left.
these moving parts, like all of these moving parts, it's a lot of info, but I think it's a result of how skeptical people are. Like with Bitcoin, I talked with so many VCs and family offices early days of Bitcoin. I heard over and over again, this is too good to be true. Bitcoin is too good to be true. But as we all know, Bitcoin is too good, and it is true. If it's too good to be true today, it's revolutionary. So I heard that for years. Bitcoin's too good to be true. And because of that, people, they're so skeptical that they wanted lots of information, and there's tons of information. It was overwhelming, right? We had this plague of Bitcoin people who are curious about Bitcoin being overwhelmed with too much info because people were like defending the fact that it was too good to be true. Ingenious AI is absolutely too good to be true, but it's too good to be true. It's revolutionary. So there's a ton of information to back it up. And the more people are scared of that, like, no, you just want to take my valuable money and tokens. Like, no, the whole world isn't a bunch of scammers trying to take your tokens. There are good things out there. And that's what Genius AI is.
Absolutely. Shades, are you ready to bring up the...
Oh, it's shared.
Many of us have been put on a cross because of that.
Go ahead, bring up the screen.
Sorry. All right. So Nate, I was showing you this part. This is the regular. Oh. So my mouse I've got a lag. So what? Do you see my mouse going over the left side?
Market agents, LPs, are bots, correct. And then
Yes.
that's like the interface where we put the Geni in, correct?
This is where you put the Genius token in. This is where the incentives, the yellow line in that graph coming in, the miners that are interested to put something in Genius.
That's on the bottom.
Right. The open market people are coming in and trying to determine whether to settle or not. So the magenta or purple line was the open market price versus the AI price. And so Genius AI here doesn't know about the open market, but because these guys are coming in and are willing to settle something at the price that the AI is giving them, that means that the price on the open market is higher effectively than what the AI wallet is providing them.
Okay, awesome. So for everyone out there, basically what's happening here is on the bottom side. That's when you go to the Geni app, which I put in the comments, so you can go ahead and scroll over there. I also do have it. I will have it linked below in the description. So when you after you buy the tokens, right? The buying is going to be like that top end right there. So if you're just buying on the open market, that's what's happening right there with that. But then when you have bought the Geni token off the open market, that's where you would go and you would like insert it like a coin, right, like that, into the bottom market agent there, right? So the collateral in, and then you can get rewards out of that. Whereas the other one is you're literally just buying up the collateral, right? And then that'll end up actually putting rewards in. So that way, you got, and that goes into the
This
vault.
is why we're super excited about the next launch.
Yeah.
Because this is what we have entirely on the next launch.
Yeah. And this is like, there's a lot of moving, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show so bad, was because there's a lot of moving parts and it's really complicated. But when you really dive deep into looking at the technicalities of it, and you start trying to like simplify it to like, so this is basically what's happening here. That's how things are working. It's really cool to understand.
I'll give you one up before we can move on. Farming. Because Mitch mentioned that some time ago, we've talked about that, is when not only you can actually deposit Genius you have and get collateral. What happens when you go to the right side? I can't move my mouse. For some reason, it doesn't go that way. But the right side of the thing, when you're operating on Genius Token Miner, you get your reward. You turn around and settle it back into the Genius Vault on the left side and get collateral. So you can kind of see that Genius can be used as a vehicle to make more collateral. And this is where, in the beginning, when I said decentralized yield for your collateral in your collateral denomination, be in BTC, be in stable coins, be it native. So essentially, you're using Genius to come in, make a yield, and sell it back for collateral. If you don't like Genius, you want to get more Bitcoin. If you don't like Genius, you want to get more stable coins, whatever the case may be. So even if you do not believe in the case of Genius as a rising store of value, you can use that as a vehicle to get more decentralized Bitcoin on your Bitcoin bypassing third parties. You don't need to trust it to Celsius or FTX. You don't need to go and lock it into a wrapped contract to be blacklisted by some entity. What you can do is you can interact with contract directly, and by the virtue of arbitrage of the ratios of your collateral to your Genius, you can sell your rewards paid to you by in Genius back to the vault and get the collateral back. We have to go into this phase 3 discussion and talk about over collateralization, but literally this is a farming of Genius on top of your rewards if you want to play that game. All that underscores one thing, is that Genius is not only about mining. Mining is an action. It's an attention block that locks in the vote, locks in the liquidity, but it's an economy. The economy that provides.
So imagine,
yeah.
Sorry, imagine Hex with AI, but you can create Hex stakes with Bitcoin and USDC and native token, and with AI.
Yeah,
Am I
and
gonna
we
get killed
haven't
for
gone
that?
into NFTs or how that thing works, but my message here is that it's an economy that is self-regulating and allowing people to generate multiple revenue streams for themselves. If they are ARBs, great, be the ARB. If you are the miner, be the miner. If you want to play the collateral game, the ratios, do that, right?
Brilliant. Mitch, did you have something for us?
Yes, I'm going to take it back to sort of belt and braces. One of the huge advantages of Genius V2 is the functionality that the NFTs provide. So I know we've kind of skated over a lot of topics here, but if you're going to lock away your collateral for 3, 5, 8, 10, 12 years, we have protocols that can do that. And obviously you get punished for accessing that yield early. Genius gives you the ability to scrape your accrued yield early. Yes, you have a penalty each time you do that. It's 38%. However, what I kind of ask you a question here, Nate. What do you think would happen to the average stake length if you could stake for, let's say, a year and earn 7% yield, or for 12 years and earn 26% yield? However, each year you're earning that 26%, and you can take and scrape that yield away each time. What do you think that's going to do to the locked supply of the token?
Well, with the lock supply, you're talking about, so the difference would be staking it for 1 year, right? And you get 7% APY versus somebody else at 12 years, and then you get like 27, let's just say, right? But
Yeah.
what is going to happen to the lock supply if
what do you think as in, so we're talking about average stake length, right? Or average miner length. If you can earn so 7, 14, 28. So if you can earn 4x more yield for locking it for 12 years, however, you can access that yield each year or each month if you choose to. So every time you've yielded a certain amount of Genius, you can burn an NFT or 2 actually, and redeem that collateral. You're gonna mine longer. You're going to push your miner out to the maximum length, which basically locks up a huge chunk of your supply. So a lot of people obviously try and game cycles, ladders, whatever you want to call it. They're trying to yield and then ultimately cash in on the principal, right? If you've got this principal and you're pushing it out for 12 years, you're earning the most amount of yield, but you're also you're able to tap into it. So what I've seen with Genius in the on-chain statistics is, especially since the V2, call it scraping, right? Since scraping has been announced, the miner length is increasing, because ultimately you want to earn the most APR for your principal, or the most yield for your principal, and you can still get access to it early. Yes, you can't take all of your principal, but you can take chunks of your yield over time.
Okay, so you know what this is. This is the reason why it works for people staking longer at that point, right? Here's what people do in traditional finance. Okay, what people will end up doing is they'll actually end up staking, right, or investing their money into like an index fund of some kind, right, a high yield mutual or index fund. And then
Yep.
what you do is you promise whichever company or whichever fund you're putting it into, you promise that you're going to give them your money for a while, aka staking it, right? In exchange, they're going to give you out some principal, right? Some yield. Okay. Now, what you're doing here with this, with Genius, right, is it's essentially the same thing. I want to paycheck out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy up a ton of Genius. I'm going to go ahead and stake it for max length, and then that's going to reward me and just give me out a paycheck basically for however long, right?
And it's dynamic, right? So let's say the price is up so many.
Well, you're getting paid ultimately to improve the economy, but people don't really see it that way. But it's the AI's goal to improve its economy, and it's like, okay, how does that happen? It had to change the rules.
And
I don't want to get too complex.
So ultimately, there's advantages and disadvantages, right? Because if somebody's earning a large percent of the yield, let's say they got in early and they've got the best share rate or a good share rate, if they just waited until let's say in Geni's hit its 7th year, they're going to complete that miner plus all of the accrued interest and go and take the collateral out. What's more likely in V2 is they're going to be eating away at their collateral, or sort of picking away at it. And ultimately, when the miner ends, yes, they'll have the collateral, and they're so used to and incentivized to keep that collateral and just keep making that yield on it. They're going to lock it out for more time, and that's another function that V2 can provide with NFTs, is you can extend your miner, which retains your share rate. So a lot of people obviously have regret when a miner ends and the share rate has moved on and sort of passed them by. Whereas with Genius, they are able to push that end date further out and maintain that share rate. So they're two huge advantages. So we don't have this huge glut of supply coming on in the future, where they've got principal plus yield just hitting the market or hitting the AI wallet essentially. So it's really a true, or I would say participants would truly value the collateral, because they will not want to give up this essentially a yield printer.
Those who sell first, they end up getting like the worst value ultimately. So it's it's a different game
going up, right? It's getting more rare, getting more scarce. So
in the economy we live in today, it's very player versus player, and it's weird that because you sell a lot of something, everybody suddenly considers it less valuable. But if you're able to like liquidate something quickly, that makes it really valuable for you to have it. And so that's quite a flaw in our current economy, which Bitcoin has the same flaw. Ethereum and every other token today has the same economic flaw. Genius AI, as we can see, there's something different going on here.
With the new paradigm of miner scraping, and that being part of the game theory, effectively, it will force longer and longer miners, which dries up supply because it's locked into longer and longer miners. So part of the game becomes essentially IQ share acquisition. So getting the most IQ shares, pushing your miner out further and further. So you're not playing the game of, I want my collateral plus yield to end at the right time when the price is X, and then just dump it on the DEX and hurt the price. I want to lock it out for as far as I can, and ultimately scrape that yield and draw down a yield whenever I want by burning NFTs and ultimately accessing that yield as I see fit.
This game truly is. It truly is like you are rewarded for waiting instead of the current economy is you're rewarded for being timely and dumping as soon as possible or dumping when something may turn around. Genius AI's game, you truly are rewarded for the time that you wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when I'm looking at this, like when I'm reading into it, and it's like as you know, normal person, right, who comes in who doesn't really look as deeply as like we are right now into what's going on in the tokenomics. It's like, how is this going to help me? Why do I really care? I don't want to stake out my coins for 12 years, because who knows what's going to happen to the coin, right? But the thing that people forget about, or I mean, as far as this, like this is all you really need to hear is, hey, you can lock it out for 12 years, sure, okay, and your principal is locked up. However, you're also able to literally just get a paycheck. So you could call this something of a retirement plan. And especially considering too that it's extremely deflationary, this token, right? Which means it's going to become more scarce, okay? And what happens to things that are scarce? The price goes up. It's very simple. So think about it this way. When you go and you lock up for 12 years, okay, you're getting a paycheck, sure, but technically the price is always going up. All right, it does go that way. Yay. But I'm talking about the camera. But because the price is going up, right? Ultimately, it doesn't matter when, like, as far as the cycles go, it doesn't matter when you're pulling it out, okay? Because regardless, if you pull it out, it's going to be more expensive anyways, okay? And then you can hold on to it, whatever, until the time comes that you want to dump, right? But I mean, even then, like when you're going and dumping, you're selling the price for dollars, okay? But
hey man, no potty humor here.
Geni for dollars, right? But here's the funny thing, okay? With you selling for dollars, the reason why that token went up in price is because somebody else did the exact same thing only earlier, right? So it's a real interesting thing. Like it almost feels like like you're getting disciplined for selling, because you're selling something that's more valuable than what you think you want out of it, which is going to be like dollars. Okay, usually that's where people go with
it. Guaranteed.
Yeah,
guaranteed
exactly.
Discipline.
That's the thing.
versus people that are like, how come when I sell Bitcoin the price goes up, and when I buy Bitcoin the price goes down?
So
here it's
I've just thought of an analogy here, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but ultimately, let's say when we see quote unquote dumps in Genius, really it's going to be the buy price on the AI wallet, because ultimately collateral is needed and it's not coming in, so therefore the dips will be seen on the deposit price, or the discount, or the arb opportunity on the deposit into the CV, not on the chart. Do you agree with that, Rob?
Yeah, and I think what's going on here is, like, all these cryptocurrencies we have and tokens, ERC20s, they all follow a standard, right? Like they all follow a standard, and even though Genius is compatible with that standard, Genius does work wildly differently, but it's not something that your average person can't understand. If you'd like, I would really love to show a whiteboard. I'll just present it here and you can grab it if you want, but I'd really like to show a whiteboard on how I visualize Genius and how Genius actually like is by design. Let me see. So I'll wait for that to come up. I'm just write hello. Cool. All right. So we got the hello, we got the he, we got the huh, we got the two eyes. All right. So there is like, let me see. Maybe that's a little too low. Let me get down here. With Genius, you can say there are. Let me draw like a little graph here. Right. Okay. With Genius, there's like this is the economy we have today. Remember, it's a player versus player thing. But with Genius AI, it's player versus the environment, and the environment is the AI. Now, has anybody here seen the movie A Beautiful Mind? Well,
Great movie.
Nope.
oh, it is a great movie. The designers of Genius kept telling me, "Hey, have you seen A Beautiful Mind?" I'm like, "Nope, haven't seen it. I don't watch many movies." And
Huh.
and yeah, I had this ex where she was so pissed every time she asked me if I saw a movie. She's like, "You haven't seen that? What the hell? We need to watch it now. Have you seen Harry Potter at least?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen Harry Potter." But and it was because of her I finally saw Star Wars because I hadn't seen Star Wars my whole life. But anyways, um, so A Beautiful Mind, there's a statement in there that is the guy's playing a game of Go, that Japanese thinking game or whatever. I don't know how to play the game. He's playing a game and then he loses and he says, "I went first, I played perfectly, and I still lost. The game is flawed." Right. And so I was like, oh, no wonder why these guys kept telling me I needed to see this movie. This movie is awesome. I only saw the movie like last year, A Beautiful Mind. But yeah, it makes sense. When you're in crypto, you play first, you play perfectly, and then you lose. That's terrible. Like the game is flawed, and that's what our economy is. So people are depending on regulators to make the economy great. Well, Genius AI, you're depending on the AI to regulate the economy. So what you have here, let me zoom out real quick and show you some goodies. What you have here is you have like, here's your ERC20, right? Like normal supply. Like in crypto land, we have a supply number, right? And everybody's account has a different amount of supply. Genius actually has multiple supplies. Like this here is liquid. Oops, I realize you can't see the little. Let me zoom out some more. Okay, do some of this. Maybe that'll help. Okay, so you have two liquid supplies with Genius. You have the normal supply and the mining supply. These are all the people who are mining, right? And then you have something very special that nothing else has in crypto world. You have something called an exiled supply. Now, I'm just telling you the basic rules of this game. And then you have another thing called credit, right? So here, credit is the collateral, right? It's the liquidity. It's it's like it's like the in contract exchange. And then this is the normal thing we do with ERC20s. We're able to send here and there, anywhere. And with mining, it takes one transaction with mining, and then with one transaction, you've got ERC20s, right? So it is these two that are liquid, right? And it is this that is the exchange. Now, what I'm getting at is that if you look at it from like a player versus AI kind of a thing, the players completely control this, right? The players, they completely control what's going on with the supply here. And in the mining, the players control it, right? They choose whether or not to mine, but then the AI, right? The AI is rebasing the supply. And then over here is like demand. All right. So the players, they're going to do whatever they want. They'll do good things, they'll do bad things, they'll probably do things at other people's expense to do better on their part. And that's what we see in the economy. Now here, wherever the AI has influence, the AI is always doing the best thing for everyone. Like I think it was John Locke, somebody who's like one of the fathers of economics. They were all like, "Hey, the best thing is when a man does what is good for himself and the crowd." Right? Genius is that on steroids. But you have this exiled supply that only the AI controls. I'll tell you more about that in a second. And you have the credit supply, which also the AI only controls. Sure, you as a human, you can take part of it by depositing collateral to back the price of Genius token, but ultimately the AI completely controls it. So you see, the AI has a lot more influence over what it does and how its economy works. But let me not get complicated. Let me show you and let you know what is going on with Genius AI this whole time. What's going on is you have some ERC20 supply, right? You've got this supply where people are like, "Yay, I can dump these tokens on the market and do whatever I want," right? And then you have this AI incentive where it's like, "Hey, do mining because we're going to pay you some of the economy and stuff. You're going to earn yield." Okay, they decide to do that. Oops. And when they decide to do that, what happens is the ERC20, like fully like liquid, like you don't need one transaction to become liquid, that supply lowers. Now this exiled supply, right? It's called exiled because the tokens are burned. They do not belong in the economy. But unlike every other token out there, this is accounted for. And every day when yield is earned, this exiled supply rises. So every day this continues to rise. And every day that it rises, the maximum amount of credit rises. All credit, credit
So
is
real quick,
eligible.
so the the ERC20, right? So that went from like really high and then basically got like cut in half. And the reason why is because it basically moved over into the exiled, correct?
Into
No, it
mining.
moved over to the mining. Yes.
Okay, so what you're talking about is people actually mining their coins. So like taking off the market, putting it into the miners. And then from there, the
Yes.
miners, that's where it starts dripping into exiled, correct?
Yeah. So people are incentivized to lock away the ERC. Well, I say we use ERC20, different nomenclatures for different chains, but ultimately the supply, the user incentivized to lock it away into mining, which reduces the available supply in the market. Sorry, Rob, go on.
Perfect, Rob.
And so when you visualize it like this, I found it very helpful. But let's say, as the exiled supply increases, it increases every day, and that's the yield that can happen. But mining, remember, mining can go into the ERC20 supply, and this exiled supply. The only way to get the exiled supply into the ERC20 supply is to have a miner. The miner can take this. It can't ever take all of it. Because like if you start mining, let's say right here, right? If you start mining at that level, you can't get all of the exiled supply that happened before it. You can only get the exiled supply amount that happened after you started mining. Makes sense, right? Or I hope that illustration makes sense. So every day this keeps increasing. The miners, they earn a piece of that. And remember, as that increases, so does this credit limit, And this credit limit is what allows somebody to come in and say, yes, give me some of that sexy credit. And let's say this portion that was filled up, notice that this here is like let's call it a glass, right? And there's how much water is in it. The water is the, the water is the is your Bitcoin, it's your native tokens, it's your collateral. It's the stuff that someone goes, cool, I can get this to my bank account right away, right? And let's say this turns out to be $300,000. That's the amount that is currently in the airdrop, right? That's going to collateralize Genius AI as soon as it's launched. So what happens is this that credit thing happens. People fill up this tank, right? And as they fill it up, they're getting miners for that. They're getting mining supply for that, right? So there becomes this like virtual supply of tokens that don't exist. Just ignore me on that. That's a weird thing. So what happens is you got people over here that can say, "Sweet man, I want to do more mining just because I see the value of this stuff increasing." Right? They want to do more mining. I'll put a green here to show you that the ERC supply goes to more mining. And some of these people, they're like, "Screw mining, man! I want to freaking screw that. I want to get some of that credit supply, right? I want to get some of that collateral." Then that goes down. But as you see, as that went down, the ERC20, they were burned. They can't be sold again. the Bitcoin world, when there's a crash and somebody sells their Bitcoin tokens, or let's say Hex, or let's say whatever ERC20, as they sell it, then somebody else is holding that hot potato and they can sell it too. This is why you can crash to zero. This is why people say, well, every token has the problem where there's one account that can dump the price completely. You know what? Genius AI does not have that problem in an over collateralized world, and that's the next launch of Genius AI. So people, these next people, they have other incentives. They can deposit credit, or they can deposit collateral to get the token, to get mining, and to get it in a way where they aren't suffering from slippage. They aren't paying too much in gas, because, to let you know, it costs like 1/4 of the amount of gas to sell to the vault. In Uniswap, it might cost you, at a high market time, it might cost you $40 to sell your token. And that kind of breaks it in the Ethereum world, but it will only cost like $10 at that point to sell your token to the vault. The Genius AI, it's so gas efficient, it's crazy. So to show you more of this thing that's going on, day by day, the exiled supply continues to rise, and likewise, day by day, the credit cap continues to rise. Now, what game is being played here? This game that is being played is Genius is actively lowering the ERC20 supply, incentivizing you to get credit, to get the actual tokens itself. And as miners, let's say they early end all of this, and then they say, you know what, now I have my tokens in the ERC20 supply. I have those tokens. Yay, I'm happy. But you know what? Let me sell them. Each time they're selling them, right? Each time they sell. Now, I mentioned how much collateral was in here. I just said, 300,000. Let's say that was 300,000 at an average of like $1 or something like that, right? Well, $1 like per Genius. Now, by the time there's only $100,000 in this collateral, the AI, not only have the tokens been burned, the AI has ratioed this, so it's now $1.20 per token. So you're getting yield here, and you're getting price appreciation here. Does that make sense?
So
ultimately,
yeah, kind of what I'm getting out of this, right, is, and this is for version 2, right? This is what's coming out currently.
This is Genius how it works today as well, with the only difference that this is
okay.
Genius AI comes in. This was the credit part was only part of Genius for like the first 4 to 5 months. And then Genius AI brings this vault back. It brings it over collateralized the moment everybody has wanted, because as credit happens, the price rises. But when you cannot, when your credit amount becomes higher than the amount of ERC20 tokens, it becomes impossible for anyone to drain this vault. And the AI only rises the price. Ultimately, as days go by, right? Like maybe some people, they get their exiled supply out. As day goes by, there are exiled tokens from people paying premiums, or something like Hex EESN staking, right? Where an OA wallet gets that benefit. Here, it remains in the exiled supply. The more people are greedy, the more aggressive Genius AI becomes. And so, you eventually hit an area where, and today it's looking more like this, but eventually you hit an area where your credit supply it becomes greater than both your ERC20 and your mining supply. At that point, even at the point where this supply is less than the credit supply, the price can only go up. The price is stabilized and it rises. When people add credit here, when people deposit collateral, the price stabilizes. As people are burning their Genius tokens to get that credit, the price is rising. And And it becomes extremely hard to break that condition. And Genius wants you to break that condition. It's saying, bring it, come on, burn all your Genius tokens and get the collateral, go for it. It's going to eventually have me win this game and win it harder and harder and harder, because if you play the game first, you play it perfectly, and you win, the game is not flawed. Genius AI went first in this game. Genius AI knows its own rules. It plays it perfectly. And Genius AI ultimately wins no matter what. There's another condition where this, visually speaking, when your ERC20 and mining supply is less than your credit, it's so difficult to bring the price down. Basically, everyone in the whole network has to agree to stop using Genius.
Yeah, so let's try and kind of break this down for someone who is physically going to be using this, right? So putting it out there, getting it into a picture of like, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. Okay. So then I'd buy, ERC, I would buy off the market. Okay. I'd go and I'd stake it into a miner, which is on the yellow side. Right. And then from there, remind me real quick, what was the mechanism that it's whenever people are selling and buying that it actually it puts it into the exiled, right? And so from there, now how does the credit fit into
exiled,
that?
by the way, nobody puts anything in exiled. You can if you want. That's the
It's
equivalent
the AI
of
that does it.
tokens.
It's the AI,
The
AI that does it
exiled
for you.
the exiled amount is always growing, and that is what miners are able to take from. But if your miner starts today, it can only grab supply that was exiled today and in the future. Your new miners can never grab the exiled supply in the past.
Yes. Okay.
And
so that's gonna be version 2.
Miners don't have a right to have all of the exiled supply. Their right to it is probably like today, it's probably a third of it at most. Actually, no, the amount that's exiled today, it's like 5% of that whole exiled supply.
That's one of the things that kind of
The rest
concern
of
me.
it's gone forever.
Because if it's exiled, right, doesn't that mean that the AI is technically able to then pull it out, and it's no longer exiled? Therefore, it's not forever going up anymore, not forever getting deflationary.
It is. Keep in mind that these are words that it's the best word we can use to describe the mechanics. Ultimately, the code is like the best thing to read. But think of it like this: there are exiled tokens every day. But that doesn't mean that all of those tokens are going to go into the ERC20 area. It doesn't mean that. Every day that goes by, and based on the actions of users, there's a portion of that exiled supply that can never come back. Let's make that a different color here, right? There becomes a supply that can never come back. And based on these ratios that I've written and what I've seen, it's probably more like this, right? And you have like this supply here that, doesn't mean it's going to come back tomorrow. You have this supply that comes back in 12 years. Like all of it will come back in 12 years. So in 12 years, every time somebody does something more selfish for themselves, more of that supply ends up becoming exiled forever, like infinity time. So
just to give an example, somebody early ending their miner early would deposit a percentage into that exile, right?
Yes.
Correct. And also, when you burn your Genius to get some of that sweet, sexy credit, a portion of that Genius, a small portion, like probably not too noticeable, is exiled forever. So the more that you are grabbing that exiled supply, the more you're grabbing that Genius collateral, the more you're grabbing the Bitcoin and et cetera that backs the price of Genius. There are small amounts of Genius that add up to a big thing over years that are gone forever.
I think one of the things to cover on this diagram is the total value of the ERC20 supply and the mining supply. So you had, for example, $300,000 on the right earlier. If that is not equivalent to or greater than the supply, we start to get that arbitrage opportunity in terms of a percentage of discount for somebody to come in, deposit collateral, and take 10%, 12%, 15%, until somebody ultimately takes that deal and brings that collateral into the ecosystem.
And so for the normal person, then what does credit look like? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little bit confused on that. Now I haven't actually studied the credit system yet.
Yeah.
So this is
these things
brand new for me. So
yeah, these things are, you don't see them. It's just how the engine is working.
so it would be like credit
This
to the AI,
are the
right?
tokens. Well, think of it like this, because you mentioned like, what does the person see?
Yeah.
This is what the person sees with tokens, right?
Mhm.
And this is what the person sees when they use the app to see all the miners they've created. They don't see the other things.
Mhm. And so the exiled,
It's just part of the engine, how the engine is working.
Yep.
And the reason why the price only rises when there's credit in the system, et cetera, the reason why the price only rises is because the percentage of credit that can never come back, and the percentage of the exiled supply that can never come back, as in miners can't, they can't take some of that and put it back into here.
Yeah.
This percentage always rises also.
But does this credit, is the credit like say credit with the AI? Like the AI has like a percentage, it's like, okay, this miner gets this type of credit, and then so like how does that work? Like what does that kind of look like?
It looks like
More
credit's been
percentage of tokens being burnt, or more percentage of the tokens coming out as a reward?
Well, let's talk about like credit in the economy. Credit represents a money that is not actually there. It's virtual, right? So that's the same thing with Genius. If you have one Genius token and it's credit, it's held within a miner. For one, like what does it look like, right? Well, when you deposit collateral, you are given Genius credit, and that Genius credit is held in your Genius miner, just like your shares. The thing that gets you paid every day.
Okay,
Right? So that's why I'm putting blue here.
Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like then. So
and this is also
correct
what
me
it
if
looks
I'm
like.
wrong on this.
Well, check this out. Last part. This will help you.
Yes.
Genius credit is the thing that, let's say you select Bitcoin, right? Genius credit is where the AI is like, okay, this is worth 1.1 sats or Bitcoin. So what it means is you burn your Genius. It gets rid of the credit itself, but you burn your Genius and you get these sats. You get the collateral for burning the Genius.
And then, so the way that I'm kind of viewing this is the ERC and the mining that's kind of like, that's where the person themselves would be. So like the human who's interacting with the protocol,
Correct.
there.
Remember earlier, I was saying the players have complete control of this.
Yeah.
And then it's both the players and the AI that have control over this.
And so
supply
then
and demand.
Exactly.
Supply and demand. Genius
then
AI.
From there,
yeah.
It's almost like a portal at that point between exiled and mining, where it's like, okay, now you're going into the world of the AI, and the AI is the one who then controls the credit and the exiled. And that's how things are kind of working there. And so this is, and when we're talking about this,
that's
stuff,
how it wins the game. Genius
exactly.
AI has an unfair advantage to win a game where people, the game for Genius AI is rise the price, rise the value. Take your attention and your commitments, your attention and your intentions, and encapsulate it into a token. So it's not completely based. So scarcity isn't completely based on how many units you have anymore. Scarcity is now based on human attention and intention.
And so
I didn't mean to dump that.
No, it's fine. So when the AI is basically kind of like arbing things, right? Just trying to control the economy, going up and down and all that. That's where the whole credit system comes in, correct?
That's where I guess Genius AI comes in. It's not, these aren't like little modules, This is the whole brain as a whole, and this is just me figuring out a metaphor to use. But in terms of accounting, these are actually accounting variables within the contract.
And I think something important to explain, Rob, is so you have at the top there, you've got the 1 Geni credit equals 1.1 sats. So that would be a deposit offer. And if you don't take it, it will increase. And on the sell side or on the ask side, if you do not, if we've reached if we're in phase 3, ultimately we have enough collateral. the ask side to ultimately liquidate and burn your Genius and take that collateral out goes up. So there's this balance. So that 1 Geni credit equals 1.1 sats. There's this balance between over time it ladders up.
Yes, it's, you see, when Bitcoin came out and it was saying, hey, Bitcoin's like a form of money where there's no middleman, right? The current model that we had of the world, the current way that we perceived the world was not compatible with Bitcoin. You know, people were like, so basically a bank holds my Bitcoin? No. A bank doesn't hold your Bitcoin. In the Bitcoin world, the beginning of the Bitcoin world, it was stated more like this. What's awesome is you've got public, private key, pair cryptography. And by the way, I'm speaking from a Bitcoiner in 2010 point of view, trying to explain what Bitcoin does. Oh man, this is great. You have your public private key, pair cryptography. You've got the private key. Only you can spend your tokens. And you sign a message to send your tokens to someone else. And only they can sign that message to move those tokens. Great. People are like, what is this dude talking about? Like we had, let's make a metaphor for that. So people make a metaphor of you hold your own Bitcoin, you hold your own keys to your wallet. In Bitcoin, a lot of people don't realize there's no such thing as a Bitcoin address. And people would say, you lie, Robert, because I see my Bitcoin address right there. But our concept of what an address is, like, you know, a mailbox or something, that exists. If you want to be as honest as possible, there is no such thing as an address of Bitcoin. Why am I bringing up that example? I'm bringing it because with how Genius works, you know, you ask about the collateral, like, okay, how does that price happen with the market? How is 1 Geni equal to 1.1 sats? Doesn't it go down in price? Doesn't it go up? These words that we have, and this perspective that we have in the current world is not compatible with what Genius actually is. Genius is new. It's very new. You know, it was launched almost 2 years ago. There's a relaunch going on, and Genius has NFTs that basically expand its possibilities, sort of like how Hex had a lot of Band-Aid tokens on it. Titan X has different ecosystem stuff. You know, Genius AI constantly expands. And here, what I'm just saying is what I just showed you all. It's a metaphor for how it works, because it works very differently. It changes the rules of economy, and you know, Genius is an AI that is programmed to know, okay, people want to profit. They want to be more efficient economically. Okay, here's how it happens. And with Genius AI, it will only work in a world where people desire profit, where humanity, society desires profit and wants to profit off things. In 500 years, if we have a society that does not care about profit and does not want economic efficiency, in 500 years, if that actually happens, Genius AI won't work. Genius AI only works because it knows you, the actor, want to profit and you want economic efficiency.
Hey, Robert, let me just jump in really quick. I just wanted to sort of put the visual to the words on settlement and what Nate was talking about, like coming in and doing the, interacting with the vault with the AI. Essentially, my point here is that, or the screenshot is that settlement is done per pair, right? So, for example, here's a chain. For example, there's a BSC, right? You have a pair BUSD Geni and BNB Geni, right? And you will have a wrapped Bitcoin Geni potentially or anything else. And so on every chain that Genius exists and the AI wallet is going to accept collateral, this is the collateral that gets accepted into a pair. You can settle Geni for BUSD. You can settle Geni for Binance Coin. You can settle Geni for DAI or ETH or whatever the case may be, right? And so just to put it in perspective, if you move to the right where it says deposit and redeem columns, the deposit is whether it's beneficial for a person to come in and do a minor, and redeem is whether it's beneficial for a person to do a settlement. So for example, you have unsettled debt here because AI is giving you worse price than the market marked in red for the depositing to create a minor, but it gives you better price of 94% growth over market price, and therefore it's marked as green. And so people can have that dashboard and they can actually track opportunities, whether they want to take a minor today, right, with their Geni, or do they want to redeem their existing Geni for credit on a specific pair. So if you have Geni on Polygon, you can play two pairs. If you can have Geni on Ethereum, you can play two pairs, DAI and Ethereum. And so this is what I would be looking for as an arbitrage to play with AI. That's the view
Yeah.
into the vault from a normal person perspective, if you will, right?
Yeah.
If you're not,
So you see a trader, somebody who's trading, like, to buy low, sell high, a trader who doesn't even use Genius token or Genius AI, they would find Genius extremely interesting. Now, Shades is talking from the point of view of a trader, right? And when we see people who are doing stock trading or crypto trading, they got like 3 monitors. They have all these, like, they're in the matrix. Let's just face it, they're in the matrix. So what's cool, what Genius AI does, how it's encapsulating attention, gets people attention, is when you're a trader and you're paying attention to these many market prices for Genius, right? Like, we have so many decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges. It's crazy. There's a lot. So when there's all of those exchanges, and then there's the Genius AI contract exchange, there becomes so many arbitrage opportunities because of the fact that Genius is backed by Bitcoin, it's backed by native token like Ethereum, it's backed by USDC. So as those fluctuations happen, right, it creates arbitrage opportunity. Basically, it's a one-way arbitrage opportunity. The trader, if you are a crypto trader, you must pay attention to Genius AI and its next launch coming later this year, January 2025, whenever. You must pay attention. You're going to want to make bots for this, because every time the price is lower somewhere else, you can buy from the open market and sell it to the AI wallet. You end up burning that Genius, but you know what? You're a trader. You don't care. You don't give a shit. You don't give a beep. Let's censor that. You don't care. You got your USDC tokens, right? Or you got your Bitcoin, and now you're gonna dump Bitcoin because you want those dollars, right? Or maybe Hex is in the collateral vault, and then you dump that Hex because you want those dollars from that arbitrage. Genius AI is basically incentivizing you to short all of these other tokens. What a crazy vampire attack. But anyways, so these markets are always going to move. And as people sell on Genius AI, that price just pushes up more. It pushes up. And so so for a trader, you have constant arbitrage opportunities. And if you go to geni.to/vault study, or sorry, geni.to/vault study, it will show you just a sample of transactions on Binance Smart Chain. It sampled Binance Smart Chain. I don't remember how many transactions are there, but it shows you where traders made as much as $2,400 just from paying attention to this, where they made $1 here, 50 cents there, $40 there, $200 there. The highest transaction I ever saw, I think it was on Polygon. It was like $2,400. So it really pays to pay attention to Genius. You don't have to use Genius. If you pay attention to it, you've made a lot of money, like a lot of other people. And with Genius AI's next launch, with this collateral vault being back, coming back, and being collateralized fully backing all Genius tokens, with this happening, this is a huge opportunity for everyone, even if you don't use Genius AI. So remember, Genius AI, yes, all of these cryptos, they work great because, meme coins work great because people get excited and they buy the meme coin and then the price goes up. Well, that's true with Genius too, but ultimately what rises the price of Genius is not just people going, cool, I want to be involved. What also rises the price is just transactions.
Well, guys, we really beat this thing up here today. I think we're probably going to move into wrap up here because I think a couple of us actually have some meetings we're going to have to go to. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of moving parts here, in diving deep. The more and more, the deeper we get, the more it's like, wow, wait, how does that work again? And as you were saying, Rob,
if you're a trader, you don't even care. You're just like, oh, there's a larger price there again. Let me do it. You don't care about the mechanics. You're like, screw the mechanics. I'm getting.
Exactly. And as you were talking about, Robert, like this took you 2 years to really truly understand, and it's for a good reason.
And I'll jump in. It's taken me best part of just over a year now, Nate. I've been in Genius. Obviously, I've been in blockchain for maybe 7 years before that, and it's such a steep learning curve. And I think anyone watching this stream will kind of realize that we're going off on so many tangents because there's so much to talk about here, but that comes with it, the evolution of next gen technology, right? It just becomes ever more complicated. So we're really trying our best to explain this thing. But yeah, from my personal perspective, this is I said it right at the start of the stream, but this is the fourth pillar of crypto for me after the invention of the DEX.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Man, we could go on for
That's why
a
you
very
say
long
fourth
time.
pillar.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of great content from this, but ultimately people who are just like, I just trust you guys because you seem to know what you're talking about, right? We say don't trust, verify.
Yes.
But the people who have, actually used it, they've learned a lot more just from using it. They're like, oh yeah, the price did go up from me selling it. Well, dang, I wish I didn't sell it.
I think we need to take over that tagline, Rob. So we've got store of value, Bitcoin, L1, Ethereum, first DEX, Uniswap. I think we're the fourth pillar. We need to start and use that.
Absolutely. Here's kind of the way that I've come to look at it. All right, guys. So basically, what you're looking at as an investor, it's like, why am I going to get into this coin? Okay, well, number one, AI is one of the narratives for this cycle. All right. If you want some exposure to AI, go ahead and get in. I own a little bit of Geni, right? I've got my own miner. So yes, I am a part of this. The reason why is because, yes, I do want exposure to AI, but then also it is deflationary. All right. So that means that now when people say a forever up coin, all right, they think, it's like, oh, it's just going to spike and it doesn't drop ever again. It's like, that's not how that works, guys. Okay. A forever up is like, it just kind of slowly ladders its way up. Right. If you were to never touch it, it would still be going up. Okay. Technically speaking, even with Bitcoin and it's like 80% drops, 60% drops and all the such, right? If you actually look at the chart, it's technically still going up, right? This is exactly what Geni's going to do too. It's kind of like this, right? When you bought Bitcoin at $1 and it went up to $100, people are like, wow, there's no way it could go higher, right? And then it drops back down to $2, right? But then after that, $100 goes up to like $1,000 and you're like, there's no way it's going to go higher, but it just keeps getting higher. And that's what I'm seeing with this particular project and this coin, hence why I did buy into it. And like I said, there are so many moving parts that the point of this show is to be diving deep into these things to really take a look at it. And it's why I really wanted to get you on, Robert. And you're like gotta get Shades and Mitch on too, because they know everything. And it's like, you guys, I'm not gonna lie, you guys are like wizards over here. There's me, I'm just a peanut brain, right? You know, the other end of the bell curve. You guys are clearly wizards. And so thank you very much, all three of you, for coming on, talking about this. You have something for me, Robert?
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for allowing us. On top of that,
Thank you.
people want info like this. People love to hear what like crypto people who really truly know it have to say, and that's why you want to be in the Geni crypto Telegram space, Discord, etc. I'll put the Discord thing on my name on this,
Yes, and all
because
the
there
links
are
will be down
lots
below, by
of
the way.
people there. Thank you. There are lots of people in the Genius AI Discord and Telegram. The official ones, watch out. There's still scammer ones that are fake that Telegram for some reason doesn't want to remove, even despite. But the point is, people who are crypto aficionados and they love Genius. So there's a lot of really smart people in these rooms.
Yeah. All right, guys. So just want to go ahead and say, actually go ahead, shill your stuff for everybody. All right. All of your telegrams, just everything there. Mitch, Shades, do you guys have any kind of X accounts or anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm just Mitch-Genie, same as my tag here on X. You'll just find me. You just find me talking about Genie and reposting stuff. And also,
I'm on X all the time.
I'm also.
By that I mean the platform.
Telegram and Discord for Genius.
And those, again, guys, those links will be down below. Yeah, go ahead, give me a follow out there on X. Oh wait, Shades, did you have yours? Because I noticed you were not coming up.
No, go, Robert.
All right, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, follow me on my X. I am on there quite frequently, giving as much information as possible for you guys to be able to make it this cycle, okay, and not get wrecked. So yeah, give me a follow. Just if I start putting out information, I would suggest taking a look at it, because it's usually something that I end up finding. It's like, wow, people got to know about this. Also, like and subscribe to the video, guys. Like this here, this is what this show is all about: is diving deep, getting to the nitty gritty of these types of protocols, projects, coins. Right? It's a little fun thing that I love to do. So yes, give me a like and subscribe. And with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say, I hope you have an amazing night. I'll see you next time.
Awesome. Cheers, Nate. Bye, man.
Cheers.